Hello, this is Crypto CJ. It's the trade of the day. I'm having some technical difficulties, so it's just my logo will be speaking to you today, but I can still share my screen, so that's really what you need to see anyway. I've had a good week in Bitcoin, in crypto overall. Most of the news is good. We're over 20K and holding that for the last few days. So let's go to the Bitcoin chart, check it out. Okay, you folks should be seeing my day chart for Bitcoin.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got some news up too. Bitcoin price broke out this week, up 8%. Stocks end on a high note. Dogecoin has surged. Has to do with, we think, the Elon Musk finalization of his purchase of Twitter and his indication that he's going to use Dogecoin to pay for certain Twitter services and access. So that's interesting. Could actually be a use case for Dogecoin. So all that's pretty cool. We have broken the 20,400 little mini range I've drawn in that we were in since the end of August. We had one candle close above it, 20,750 or 800. And we've got today's candle, if it closes above, if this level holds this 20,600, it should close above this level as well. I'll have to throw this out and do a new one. So I'm pleased to do that. That's good news on Bitcoin. We have something even more dramatic on Ethereum. We had this tight little range that we talked about on Monday between 1275 and 1375, and it shattered that. And we're now, 1556. And there was some news here. Ethereum devs tried to leverage price. Is that the one I wanted? Yeah, smart contracts reach a new high. So most smart contracts are on an Ethereum-based platform. So that's good news. And I drew this orange line up here. And it has served, this 1575 area has served as support and resistance many times since actually late July. It was resistance here, support here, resistance here, support here again, support briefly, and now it's acting as resistance for Ethereum. So this seems to be a key level. If we break through this, we should probably have a little bit more resistance around 1785, and then after that, pretty good shot to 2000 for Ethereum. So that's pretty cool. Any questions or comments about Bitcoin, Ethereum, or the market overall? We had a late start, so I went through that pretty quickly, but the news is good. We'll see how the weekend does, if it holds up. Get some pump action next week before the American elections, and it'd be very interesting to see how the markets function in November, which is usually a pretty good month for crypto. Okay, so you got a chat message. Yeah. There are some links to YouTube videos for strategies we talked about before the recording. You guys might want to check those out. I haven't looked at them yet, or I talk about them now. Okay, so let's use Altcoin Alert, see if we can find some trades for the weekend. Okay. Earlier, I was looking. Well, let's go over my altcoin setup here. I've got the easy mode off. Altcoin radar is on. Gonna right click and reload. Make sure I have the most recent data. Sort by AA scores. How I usually start. I was looking at seller earlier. It was at 80.2. So it's dipped a little bit, but still a really nice AA score, worthy of checking out. So we'll go ahead and do that. It has been trending up most of the day. It's up almost 8% since midnight. Bigger picture look on the hour. And in last week, we're up almost 20%. But on the 5-minute chart, Yeah, we're stuck in this. We're going to see a lot of this probably on the charts. Friday afternoons are slow. And we only have a 1.6% difference between the Bollinger Bands. So not a good place to enter. If you want to set an alert for a dip and based on support, got some, due to the angle here, it's hard to find really obvious areas of support, but I see some, right about here. Let's see, let's use this one. Around 1.5 cents. And again here, that's 1.55 cents. It's 1.5 cents there. And finally, so support again here, right about 1.48 cents. So these are potential price alerts to set. And if you want to set your price alert, right click, add alert. I like round numbers, so I'll put that up to 1550. And AA score, and you're good to go. Get rid of these, because that's not how I do my alerts. How I like to do my alerts is go to the 15-minute chart and use indicators. So there's a couple indicators I like to use. We've talked quite a bit about the MFI and the RSI, catching the bottom on a 20 on the MFI or a 30 on the RSI, which is the oversold area, and setting alerts for recoveries when they hit those areas. For example, this is a pretty good one here. This one, had you been in this alert at 4 p.m. yesterday, it would have dropped like right to the 20, then come back up again, get in right about here. You're down about 1% at first, and then, nice 6% move. In 17 hours, that's a really good day trade. And that's a pretty easy alert to set. Right click, MFI, crossing up, 20. And if you're not sure, I would have caught that, you can go 25. Your entry won't be quite as good, but you'll catch a few that you would miss otherwise. So once per bar close, that's important. And information source, AA score. There's a couple other things I like to do. Divergence is another way to find dip trades. This is divergence from any indicators version 4. I've shown many times on how to find it. So I'm not going to go through that today, but email me if you want to know. And as you can see, there's many divergences. The divergence is a disagreement between the price action and the indicator. Actually, I was going to show you one that was pretty obvious to me. This is an RSI divergence here that the indicator flagged. It's trending up slightly in the price action. But if you look at the same time period, it's going the same time period, it's going down just slightly. So it's going down here, going up here, that's divergence. Okay, so on bullish divergence, in the past, it's done reasonably well. This one triggered 7:30 on Wednesday night. 4% move, you like that. These didn't get as much. 1.8, not bad. This one kind of went negative for a while, then came back up. Obviously, these would have been better entries on that. Sometimes I'll skip the first indication of divergence, and since I've got that, let me show that to you. Once per bar close, it'll kick in again. So, I set that alert on the positive side, I would have gotten all these alerts, without really changing anything on my chart. Probably would have taken the second or third one. And then have the better entry. You don't have to do it that way, but but don't, if you're out and about and your phone goes off and on a divergence alert, don't worry, you'll probably get another one in the near future. Okay, so that's another way to find dip trades. Now, if you want to trade the trend instead of the dip, I've been using the SuperTrend for that. That's this one here. And I made a slight adjustment. I had the SuperTrend buy and sell before, but I didn't like how the alerts were functioning on that. So I got rid of that one and I added the SuperTrend. There's multiple SuperTrend options on TradingView, but I use this one by Everget. Everget's a popular producer of indicators. And what I like about it is if I right click on SuperTrend, if I'm going to be trading the same coin throughout the day, up and down, I can do a SuperTrend direction change on my alert, once per bar close. And so I do this usually on 3 and 5 minute charts, but sometimes on 15 as well. So the SuperTrend, assuming we have confirmation from our other indicators, did pretty well. This one got 4%. This one on the sell side, taking a short. Took a while, but 2.8%. So you can trade both ways. Our AA score is telling us this has a better chance of going up, or has about an 80% chance of going up 3% or more in the next 48 to 72 hours. So you might just want to use it on the buy side, but nothing wrong with doing both. And this buy alert obviously didn't do very well, but this one did really well. On this one, went down about 4%. I don't know if I would have ladder bought that or not, but eventually, yeah, you're up here on 3%. Had you got in on this one at 2 in the morning, 5%. So that's how I would trend trade this. It kind of depends what the market's doing, or I look at the past. I bring up divergence. I'll look to see how the divergence trades went, and then I'll look to see how the trend trades went, whichever one has done the best most recently. That's usually the alert approach I will use. Okay, any questions on seller? Okay. Let's see what else we got. IOST, Matic I was looking at earlier. I like Matic, one of my favorites to trade. We'll look at that one then. Okay, on the 5 minute, kind of looks like what we just saw on seller. What's been doing on the hour chart. In the last week, it's up about 22% and then dropped some yesterday, overall 19%. And on the 5, where are we now? Yeah, it looks a lot like seller. Sitting on that SMA line, that's no fun. And 1.2% between the Bollinger Bands, so it's really squeezy. Really no dip trade entry here. Do have some support in the short term, right about here at 90 cents. Again here at 92, and here again about 93.5. We're pretty close to that now. Probably wouldn't do that one. I'd be more interested in this area here or down here for a price alert. On the 15-minute indicators, let's look at divergence first. And a lot of bullish divergence have triggered this last couple days. But none of these did very well until we had the move today. So had you taken, say, this one here at noon on Wednesday at 1.6, I might have gotten out on that. A lot of times once my coin goes to 1% or higher, I'll move a stop loss to break even. That way it's a risk-free trade. Here's another one kind of like that. 1.4%. About the same here. This one goes against us for a while. I would have ladder bought there or not, but it comes back up and 1.5%. Takes about a little over a day though. So there on Divergence, on SuperTrend, kind of similar. That buy alert didn't do very well. This one didn't either, and this one did. So, and then none of the MFI or RSI alerts would have triggered on the 20 or the 30. These came down to about 26. I don't usually go above 25, so yeah. Maybe this one on 25 would have hit, but that one did okay. So nothing's really jumping out to me as a strategy on this one. Probably go with the buy and sell on this trend because it's just easier. So, all right. Any questions on Matic? That one was kind of dull. Okay, well that's 2 AA scores. It's Friday, so should we look for a Friday weekend short? Sure. Who wants a short? So we can reverse our AA scores, but we've only got one that's bearish. It's not something to my knowledge. The trade's on an exchange that I can short. So I go to my secondary sorts, long-term sentiment, Elder Impulse Daily. Let's do long-term sentiment. Got 44 in the negative. So very bearish Solana, but the Elder on the long term, but Elder Impulse is neutral. I was looking at one of the Raven coin. Yeah, I've actually got an alert on this one. We've got bearish on the long-term sentiment, which is the Twitter data, and the Elder Impulse, which is a technical indicator. So when these two match up, this is something worthy of further investigation. So let's go to Raven. And I have shorted this fairly recently on Bybit, or maybe it was BitGet. I think it was Bybit. Okay. On the 5, some support here at a little over 3 cents. And again, down here about 3.12. But we got the same setup we have on the others. Not a good entry at the moment. So for our indicators on the 15, divergence. We're looking for bearish divergence now instead of bullish. So this one didn't do well. Probably would have ladder bought up here at the 5%, then wrote it down around here. So that would have worked out okay. But this entry is earlier than ideal. This one worked out pretty well. On Wednesday, yeah, 2.5%. You're probably going to be on 3x, 5x, 10x leverage. I usually use 5 or 10. So that's how that would have played out. Divergence worked okay. Super trend was better. This one didn't do well, but I would have gotten stopped out or had to ladder buy on this one. Yeah. But this sell alert did pretty well after it goes against you first, about 2.5%, but then big drop. Yeah, 5%, good stuff. You can also reverse the MFI alerts that we talked about earlier. do a have it go to the 80 and then come back down, which is considered the overbought area. So this would have been, right click here, add alert, crossing down on the 80 once per bar close. And that was a long-term sentiment. I'm going to keep that one. So as you can see, when this one came down, it would have triggered right about here. Pretty close to where the sell indicator would have. And you get that move down that we just looked at. And it triggered again right about here. And I think Bitcoin had a big drop right about here. So 2%, on 5 or 10x leverage is a really good day trade. And it's going up again, so it should curve back down. I might get that alert tonight. We'll see. Okay. You can do the same thing on the RSI if you're more comfortable with that. Most people use the 70 value for overbought on that one. Right click, add an alert, crossing down, 70 once per bar close. Okay, any questions on the Raven short? Okay, we'll do one more. We'll wrap it up. Let's.
DJ,
Yes,
can
sir.
we because of all the Twitter Elon Musk thing on Doge, can we have a look at Dogecoin and see what's going on there?
Yeah, I think I've got an alert on Doge. Might be the first time I've ever tried to long it. That's a reasonable suggestion, Craig. Thank you. All right, 5-minute Doge. We're up nearly 19% just today. I wasn't doing much at all during the week.
Wow, that's quite amazing.
Yeah, 50% pump. Yeah, I remember this was trading around 5 or 6 cents, and I looked at it this morning. It's over 8. It's like, wow, big move. On the 5, yeah, it looks like everything else though. But more distance between the Bollinger, or more percentage between the Bollinger bands. So it looks squeezy, but there's actually some room there. But it's towards the top, so for support and resistance, maybe 8.25 cents, this area right here. Secondary here at just under 8 cents. And then here about 7.4, 7.37. On the indicators, let's look at divergence. Bearish divergences are kicking in because it's been pumping. This bullish one, this is the only one I've seen since Tuesday, the 15th. That obviously did very well. Wow, 20%. That's pretty awesome. What alert did I put here? I'm actually seeking positive divergence. I don't think I'll get it, but that's the alert I have at the moment. So right click, divergence, positive divergence once per bar close. So I'll leave this on throughout the night, see if I can catch something. Now it would be reasonable to try to short this. I'm reluctant to short something that's in the news and pumping. Been burned on that before. But maybe you go a longer time frame, like 30 minutes or an hour. But even those didn't do well. All these did. Now this one did okay. Actually, these distances look small. Yeah, they mostly went sideways. This one did okay. Yeah, so these two did well. This one, yeah, so you might want to, if you're going to short this, you might want to go with a bigger time frame than the 15. If I do this with a small amount of money and on small leverage and use a stop loss, that'd be my suggestion if you're going to short it. I think I'll do that. Whoa, look at Craig. He's in there. It's not a carbon alert though. That was actually based on the carbon entry, but you're in my trading view, Craig. Congrats.
Celebrity status.
Yes. The few, the proud. All right. So that's one approach. Let's go back to the 15 and look at our super trend. The buys have done well on the super trend. Over 7% on that one. 8% on that one. That sell didn't do very well, but it would have eventually. So I probably would have ladder bought this around here somewhere, maybe even done a second one, and then come down here, and then that's a really good trade on the short side, but risky. When something's in the news and pumping, it could go to Pluto for all you know. All right. So that's the super trend approach. And there's a few times where it dips below the 20 on the MFI. Those look like those would have been good entries. This one here, we don't know yet. These didn't quite make it down to 20. So if you use 25, that would have worked. You could pick that up at that entry here and gone up there. All right, well, any questions on Doge? Very well. We'll look at one more on Altcoin Alert and wrap it up. We're at about 30 minutes now, so we were going to look at, actually, looking for a short based on the long-term sentiment sort. We looked at Raven. Okay, here's another approach. The 24-hour change. Mask has been in the news. They're talking about this on the CryptNation call yesterday. I think that's one that can be shorted. So when it's something pumps like this, is it due for a dip, which you can capitalize on? This might be one to trade both directions on the super trend.
Yeah, it's available on Bybit.
Yeah, it's on my list, so that means it is. All right, let's get out of divergence. I'd go super trend on this. And yeah, each one of these had some success. Yeah, up 3% here if you use the 15-minute chart. I'm going both directions.
That's looking very similar to Doge. Is there some relationship between Mask and Doge?
Not aware.
Just I don't know what Mask is, so
I don't either. It's one of those I've just traded before off the charts. It had some pretty good volume, and but yeah, I don't know what it does. All right. Yeah, some of these did pretty well. On the 5, this went down. Yeah, things like you probably have to use stop losses on this because some of these moves, they look tiny, but they're actually pretty decent, pretty large. So yeah, and that's one you can use this alert, add alert on SuperTrend and direction change once per bar close. So without going over, confirmation or anything, you started this at 9 o'clock last night. You could have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trades in less than 24-hour period. Some would have done well, some not. Actually, none of the sells did that well. Oh, this one did okay, but all the buys did pretty well. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I don't use volatile coins as volatile coins as this when I do this. So usually I'm on Ethereum or Atom or something that's top 10. All right. Any questions on this approach, Altcoin Alert, or trading in general?
Well, I do.
All right, bring it, Nathan.
So yesterday evening, going to Altcoin Alert and decided that nothing's going to pump, I guess, and everything looks like it needs to go short because I kept losing in my longs. I went to the short side of Altcoin Alert, and at the very bottom was Solana,
Mm-hmm.
and it had like 4 bearish with a super bearish across the top.
Yeah.
So I took a short on that, and then bam, it pumped. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to remember the time frame. It's 48 hours plus. So if there's a volatile move before that, you know, that can be a problem. But yeah, just trading based on what Altcoin Alert tells you, I think is, I just use it to help me identify coins. I'm more into my technical analysis to help determine direction. So, but I know a lot of people, buy this thinking it's just going to tell me what to do, and when that doesn't work out, they get frustrated. I dabbled with that approach for a while too when I first got it, but yeah, I think it's pretty good at identifying what's moving, but as far as the direction, you're going to have to do some additional analysis to be profitable in that more than half the time. So
I'm finding it very difficult to see the direction it's going to go. When we're sitting there at a certain point and I look at it and it's about to take off and the the trend strength stinks and the direction is, it's just not there.
mm-hmm.
And then by the time I actually look at it and I've got an actual trend strength going and I've actually got some sort of figure on how strong it's going to be, it's too late. It's like once it
Yeah,
figures out.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I tell people even the most perfect indicator, the best you're going to get, it's going to be 55 to 60%. And even that's hard to quantify because, what are you determining as a winning trade? So what's as important, if not more so, is managing that trade. Can I, do I get out? Do I cut my losses short? With stop losses and let winners run long. If you do that, you can be right 40% of the time and be profitable. But that's extremely difficult. Do you use a ladder buy or dollar cost average when something goes against you, which is how I was taught when I first started. So, depending on the market, that's what I tend to fall back on. And with that approach, you can get your percentage up way up, but then you get stuck sometimes, or you get a horrific result. There's downsides to each approach. So that's a long way of saying that there's nothing out there that I'm aware of that's going to put you in a ideal trade real
Well, now I'm
extremely
thoroughly
often.
depressed.
Sorry. Our goal is just to be profitable, move our balance, every week, every month. At least that's how I approach it. So, and this year's been brutal. So, I think
CJ, this might be the right time to bring in what we were talking about before about when to get out of trades.
Yeah, Craig and I were talking a little bit about this before, and getting out is one of the hardest things to figure out. So let's look at let's go back to this mask trade. So let's say I take this buy. I'm up early, it's 5:50 in the morning, and this buy alert goes off, and my MFI is up. All these are up, so I'm in, feeling pretty good about it. But where do I get out? I like to use resistance to get out of a long. So my closest resistance is here at 1.328, but that's practically no profit. So if I got out there, it's 1.6. It's not bad. If I'm on 10x leverage, that's 16%. That's a pretty good trade. But when I don't see obvious retrace, one might be here at 1.4, where we had some resistance on Thursday afternoon. So I'd probably use that. So I'd probably get in right about here, and I'd use this as my goal to get out. And that would have, now let's say I do that and I'm aggressive and I just miss it. Now let's so I just miss it. It goes up, gets close, and then drops again. So what I usually do then is I lower it a little bit, sort of Murphy's law of trading, because when I lower my exit, it tends to smash it and then go up. But then I got out of my plan, so I feel good about it. So I probably lower it down here to about this area. Actually, I'd lower it to where the resistance was, and so I would have gotten out here. So in this scenario, I miss my first exit, it drops, but I get out on my second exit with about 6%. That's a really good day trade. I'm happy with that. But didn't get the 8% I was trying to get based on this this area, this resistance over here. So and so as you see, it keeps pumping up, and I don't care because I achieved my goal. So if it keeps pumping up, that's fine. Now, if you want to be more of a hands-on trader and maybe use a trailing stop or use alerts to guide you as it keeps going up, that's fine too. I've tried to do that, but it kind of makes me nuts to sit at the computer and then watch my trades. So, but that's certainly valid. And had you done that, getting in here, and take it all the way. I mean, you could go all the way until the sell triggers, and that's over here. It's 8 hours later, and you got 27%. So you can use your sell as your exit point. And that works really well on some of these long ones, but it doesn't work very well on the small ones. So.
And of course, you don't know which are the long and the short when you're taking them.
That's correct. So that's some of the methods I use to determine where to get out. But it starts with a retrace to a prior high on longs. So anything you care to add to that, Craig?
Well, I was just going to say that, I'm often watching the trade and watching the things, and I don't know whether to pull the trigger to close it. And sometimes I miss it, and then it ends up going back into negative, and I end up waiting another day to close. Whereas if I'd pulled the trigger on a lower profit, I'd be out of that trade and looking for the next one. Yeah. That's where the conversation sort of started. So sometimes it's better to take a smaller profit and have it in the bank than be waiting for the better profit and then ending up in that trade for another day or 2 days to get a smaller profit anyway.
Yeah, and I consistently lower my profit if I have to keep something overnight. Because then usually my retrace is no longer valid and I've got to look at more recent data. So yeah, that's fine. Even if you get small profits, it's better than nothing or losses.
Yeah.
So did that finally hit the sell because it stayed on the moving average line? It got to the moving average line? Does
Uh,
that have anything to do with it?
are you asking why the super trend triggered the sell?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how super trend works. I could probably look it up and figure it out, but I doubt it. Though it is a coincidence that the sell is triggering on the SMA line last 3 times. On this one, it triggered, on the bottom of towards the bottom of the Bollinger Band. And I've got my Bollinger's Band set at 50, or most people use 20. So, that might be one of the things that indicator takes into consideration. I did look it up once, but I don't recall exactly what the super trend takes several indicators into consideration, and it's just doing math. So
Yeah, because it went way up out of the Bollinger Band on that pump.
yeah, and I do on my super trend I have the ATR period set at 5, which I think is quite a bit shorter than the default. Yeah, the default's 10. So yeah, I do it a little differently on mine. All right. Any other questions? This is something we could probably do a video, or a Zoom in and of itself, just in how to determine where to get out on day trades. So, but generally speaking, it's retraces and resistance for me, and then an adjustment the next day if it doesn't work. All right. Well, I think I'll wrap it up here. If you're watching this on the recording, I appreciate that. Please check out the opportunities in the comments below. They help fund the channel. If you're a Carbon member, stick around. We'll talk about Carbon next. Thanks and have a good weekend.